Hi everybody, I'm Bree the Plant Lady, checking in with part 2 of my weekly garden tour. We are in the middle of May. It is like the peak cottage garden time. The spring open garden is just a few days away. We've been working really hard in preparation. And well, I'm just so excited to turn the camera around so that you can see absolutely the visions that are now coming to life after months and months of waiting. Well, let's start right here at my favorite pathway that connects the two properties. And what can I say? This is my favorite mix, and a lot of this did happen on its own, particularly in the walkway. You've got larkspur and carrots, nigella, beautiful poppies, clumps of wheat, bachelor buttons, of course, fabulous nigella stand all across the front here. I know I've mentioned this in other tour videos, but we had a very wet April, and that really helped accelerate everything to growing taller than ever before. And, you know, I was very concerned that this border wouldn't be in bloom for the open garden, and it is. Obviously I have no control over any of this, really. And it's just so exciting that the timing for the open garden is, well, it's perfect this year. Last year we were about a week early, which is why I pushed it to Mother's Day weekend. And I'm feeling really good that that is the date that it should be, so that everyone can really maximize the experience of seeing the garden. Now, the pathways are difficult to walk through. If you're here on Saturday, you might not really want to traverse through them all. The plants are kind of just doing their thing, and I'm not going to pull them out. This is kind of the bottom line. Across this way, you can see all of these larkspur are doing beautifully, and this is a really spectacular kind of maroonish semi-double poppy. Basically, there isn't a bad place to stand to take in this view. Shout out to David, who has been working really hard this week. He got the ugly white shed resided. That's going to get painted black, so it'll just blend in. We do have big plans to remove all of that invasive ligustrum. Probably going to have Snell Tree Service come out and do that. Feels a little big for me, although I don't know. Interns start Monday, and we'll see what they want to take on this summer as some of our big projects. Now, this side of the fence, which was planted during the November 12th seed sowing class that I hosted last fall, is just come into full bloom. And, you know, I prefer when stuff is more integrated, like I've got a larkspur section and a poppy section, but I'm not complaining because it's beautiful and it keeps me occupied coming out and taking pictures. And I love all the different colors of these Pephaver Reese, or also known as the Shirley poppy or the common poppy. Great colors, you know, with soft pink and white and red and almost peach. I mean, look at that color. It's super unique. I wanted to point out the elephant garlics are about to bloom. I do allow these to flower because they still produce an enormous garlic bulb that you can eat. And I think this is just a really pretty pocket here with the clumps of wheat. I think there's something to this combination with flowers and grains and some of the edibles like carrots that are in flower that really round it out and make it like a proper cottage garden. And I'm really pleased with how this section is looking. I hope everybody else will enjoy it. So I have a section that's basically going to just be teasing people. These are a bunch of tropicals that are going to go in the front border for the summer. But we're not ready for that because it's still in full cottage border season. And these are not for sale. And I know everybody's going to want to buy them. But these are some trial cannas that arrived yesterday. Some Thailand giant colocasias. And we did get all of the succulents replanted. We have a video for that. And this is my lime tree, which I've had for years. And that is actually a trial begonia from last year that is really just knockout awesome. I can't believe that I'm still growing it. And I think I'm actually becoming a begonia person as a result. I've been working hard at getting more containers planted for summer. We've also been working hard on getting signs ready for the open garden. That's always a challenge. But what I wanted to show you behind here is this little broccoli patch that was planted, I think in March. I can't remember. I know I did a video on it, but they look great. They are starting to head. And I really do still have a lot of cool season crops at various stages of growing that we'll be able to continue to harvest from for the next couple of weeks. Well, here at the kitchen door, I will be putting tomatoes into these pots, hopefully tomorrow. I'm gonna take out the snapdragons, probably transplant them. I'd like to save some seed. I have a billion snapdragon seedlings coming up right now. But this is a really pretty combo, and I've got to say I love the addition of the nigella right here, this little pocket. The orange and the blue and the white from the onions. I think this is a really nice combination that I would definitely like to replicate. All right, you can see that patch of Silene corneria is fabulous. I love the pure white. That often is called rose campion because it's bright burgundy. And you guys might remember that I jumped the gun and planted a pepper, and it has a Schultzia climbing all over it. So I probably should dig up that pepper and put it somewhere else. This section of the deck border looks awesome. We mowed down, I should say, the crimson clover, and we left the barley because I want to collect that seed. And I've been coming up with what we're going to plant at the feed tank. For now, we just mulched it, and it's neat and tidy. Neat and tidy-ish, I should say. We are very dry. I can't believe those words are coming out of my mouth. But I would love to get some rain. We don't have any in the forecast, and Saturday is supposed to be very hot. Upper 80s, very sunny. You can see the grains here. This is an awnless wheat. Looks great. And of course, this border of larkspur and poppies has been kicking it for a while. It looks great. I didn't think that these kufias had successfully overwintered, so I bought more, as you can see. This is that one I think called Vermillionaire. But as of today, I see that they are actually sprouting. Let me see, right here. It is starting to grow, and you can see this plant is as well. So they've been planted here for a few years, and I had a whole plan of replanting it and adding a lantana and adding some red salvias and making this like a red corner. Now I'm not sure what I should do because these kufias fill the entire space. I don't need to add more plants. I know this. However, it's my tendency to want to plant more. Now, coming along here, we did make the decision not to clear these paths, but it's a great photo op for people just to stand there with the poppies behind them and the champagne grapes over, and of course, this fabulous larkspur all throughout the front. We did a complete overhaul of all of the pots here in the fire pit. I've got videos to show you of what we did here, but we got all of the succulents replanted, and most of these pots are replanted for the summer. So it feels great. Savannah did such a good job today. She weeded it all. So it's clean and tidy. Very, very excited to show you that progress because it was looking a bit wild and crazy. Now this pathway is not going to be user friendly. We're actually going to block it with pots to make sure no one tries. However, this is another great photo op. If someone's standing where I am right now, I'll show you, you can get to the back there on the other side of the greenhouse to have yourself sort of in a poppy cave. I managed to get my greenhouse a little bit more organized. And this side, lots and lots of poppies. Now there's a lot that are finished with the seeds, with the seed heads, you know, at the stage where now this is the stage where you don't do anything because you want the seeds to ripen. So just leave them alone. But there's a lot more flowers to open still, because you see this is the flower at the nodding stage. These haven't opened yet. So I'm feeling good knowing that I think these will all be in bloom this weekend. And the color diversity in this patch has been really remarkable. Of course, remember, these are open pollinated. You're gonna get all kinds of colors and all different styles. You know, I love these pom-pom frilly forms. And another area that Savannah worked really hard in today is here. And I'm gonna show you a before and after. Plant lady.
Hey guys, I'm Bree's assistant this year, I guess, for a couple days, Savannah.
And right now we are getting ready. Savannah just did the most amazing job weeding this space that doesn't get a lot of attention. And we are going to plant a whole bunch of native perennials that we have in the sale for Saturday. Of course, David's mowing, so it's really loud. So we're gonna time lapse. And if you come out to the open garden, be sure to walk behind the greenhouse so that you can see this little area with all of these plants basically growing as a ground plane coverage so that we won't have to weed in the future. All right, let's get to it. Well, are you guys ready for a transformation? We got a lot of stuff planted in here, including lobelias. And I know that looks like I have red mulch, but I don't. This is the ground aged pine bark. So we have lobelias and different carex, tiarella. We have a lot of different plants in here. I'm gonna make sure we get these labeled. And the ground here was so incredibly dry. We watered it really well, and then we added the mulch, and all of a sudden, what was a weedy mess this morning actually is a bed with a lot of intention now. So really excited to see this progress. Oh, I just love these frosty colors on the larkspur. As we make our way along the north side of the house, I have some cutbacks still to accomplish here. It's on the list. It's gonna get accomplished. And you can see these borders have really filled in. I've had a lot of garden clubs visiting the last couple of weeks, and you know, we always explain like the goal over here is to have a no mulch zone. So keep filling in with perennials that will basically just cover up the ground plane, make it as low maintenance as possible. I can't believe how beautiful these Echinacea purpurea look. And again, that's something I think everybody is so surprised to see them thriving here in way more shade than sun. And there's a lot of plants that are native like to the Midwest that sure in Iowa they grow in full sun, but Iowa full sun is different than North Carolina full sun. And so there's a lot of opportunities to grow some of the native plants in the plant sale in a slightly more shaded environment. I wanted to show you the Carex cherokeensis. It is in flower, and it is just such a cool plant. It's such a great texture. It adds so much to this area under the live oak. This is dry shade, dry shade. Now as we come around to the front, there's a lot of pruning to be done. It's probably not going to get accomplished before open garden. That's okay. We do have mosquitoes, wear bug spray. And this cottage garden, fewer poppies blooming now because they bloomed early. But I still think the texture of those seed heads is really, really interesting. And there are still flowers to open. You can see the flower buds. And then when they get to that stage where they're like seafoam green, round, that's the stage where the seeds are now going to, you know, slowly form and ripen. Usually we're harvesting these, it's very much temperature and rain dependent, but sometime early to mid-June is when these seeds will be ripe. The grain border is doing great. The rye is starting to turn. And you know, when everything turns amber, it's the most exquisite thing you've ever seen. I'm really happy that it's starting to dry out a bit so that people can see it at this stage. And this is actually where we're going to put those Thailand giant colocasias this year. We're going to have a huge tropical border out here in the wave. I think it's going to be very dramatic and totally worth seeing when you come to the fall open garden, which I have set the date for, but I'm not going to announce until after the spring open garden finishes. And this property border, which is now basically full shade at this stage, is doing well. There's a lot of weedy trees that I need to pull out seedlings. We have like 1 billion oak trees growing in here because of that water oak. You know, I love oak trees, but gardening under them isn't great. They're not my favorite tree to garden under. But I wanted to show you this lemon meringue baptisia. It's exquisite. And I'm amazed that it does this well in so much shade. Like when I planted this was a full sun bed. Okay, you have to understand things have grown a lot in the last 10 years. I used to grow vegetables in this bed, like a lot of vegetables. And, you know, over time the trees grow and, you know, the environment changes. But I would like to do a little cleanup in here just because it is right along the driveway. Also love that the rose is blooming. This is like understock from some rose that died. I didn't plant it. It was here when I moved here. But you see it grows all the way up into the tree. Just kind of cascades down. It only blooms once a year right now. And I think it's really quite charming. I'm not a rose person, but I'm also not willing to get rid of it. Well, and as you can see behind me, we've got old Big Ben out of storage. This was actually my grandmother's brother's car from 1964. And it's been in my family for all this time. And actually it was the car I drove the summer of 1996 and I hated it. But I love it now. I'm super happy we have it. And we actually decided we're going to have a little bit of a car show here during the open garden. With the vehicles we have and our good friend David Sabio, who I've posted garden tours from his place, which are amazing. He has a really fun, like 1981 silver linings Corvette. It was one of his treats to himself after he conquered pancreatic cancer. So even if you're not into plants, we're gonna have cars for people to look at. David's like, well, he would appreciate that on a garden tour. So I think that's actually going to be a lot of fun as kind of a surprise added bonus to the day. Of course, we have an incredible plant sale set up for everybody. And there really is a plant for everyone. Remember, I'm not doing any vegetables this year. I really didn't have great germination on what I sowed. And, you know, my focus right now is building out this native space. So everything that we have for sale are natives, primarily natives for the Southeast. These are all plants that do really well in this Zone 7 Central North Carolina environment. Well, I thank you all so much for tuning in. I look forward to sharing more updates, and I do hope that I will see you on Saturday at the Spring Open Garden. Thanks so much for watching.